Welcome back to Astrology, Angels, and More. I'm your host, Mary Silvernail, and I'm very excited about tonight's show. I have a lot of very interesting astrological information to share with you tonight and how it affects you in your own personal life. But also, I have a wonderful guest tonight, an interview with a wonderful guest. Who's been a friend of mine for many, many, many years, very spiritual man, a great seer, and his name is Ted Silverhand. And you will be able to see that interview in full. It's quite a long, beautiful interview, right after we talk about what's coming up astrologically. Now, you can view this show and all the Astrology, Angels, and More shows on YouTube. They all get uploaded on there. Plus, our show airs on Spectrum Channel 79 and Verizon Fios on Channel 35 Sunday evenings at 7:30 p.m. However, also throughout the month. But any of the past shows that you would like to go back and look at, just please feel free to go to our YouTube channel, Astrology, Angels, and More, and you'll see the shows on there. Or you can just even go on, just look under Mary Silvernail. Just put that in the Google and you'll see the shows, because actually this is our 40th episode of Astrology, Angels, and More. Thank you so much for your support and your viewing. We really appreciate it. Brian and I, Brian is the producer of Astrology, Angels, and More, and he and I work very hard to put a show together that's informative and that will help you in your life. Now, this is our 40th episode. The time has just flown by with that. And also, Brian called to my attention tonight that this is my 70th appearance on Staten Island Community Television, various shows. 40 episodes of that 70, though, are Astrology, Angels, and More. So now, happy birthday to Aries, all you Aries out there. Now, Aries is the first sign of the zodiac, with Mars as its ruling planet. Red is the color associated with Aries, bright red. Aries is independent, impulsive, pioneering, self-reliant, and also can be very direct about things. They don't pull any punches. They're natural born leaders. Many are entrepreneurs or chief executive officers, and diamond and pyrite are the lucky gems for Aries. Now, as you hear me discussing the sign Aries, that's the Aries sun sign. Also, if you're an Aries rising. Now, what we just recently had dealt with, I'm sure all of you saw that beautiful pink full moon that we had just recently had. That was absolutely beautiful, wasn't it? And that full moon brought a lot of emotion. Now, what's coming up, though, because today is actually April the 12th, 2023. And so what we're looking forward to is the first solar eclipse of 2023. And it happens to be in the sign of Aries. It's the Aries new moon solar eclipse. And that's happening overnight between April 19th and 20th. Now, this eclipse is creating a very strong thinning of the veil because it's at 29 degrees, which is in astrology a highly karmic degree astrologically. 29 degrees is the last degree in any sign. Now, as I mentioned, that this is the first solar eclipse of 2023, this Aries total new moon eclipse. But we have not had an Aries new moon solar eclipse since 2015. So you're talking about 8 years ago. And this is starting, actually, a new cycle of eclipses that will be continuing on, bringing energies that it's starting now, and it will continue on until March of 2025. Now, the sun will be totally obscured from the moon for a while, and visible actually in Southeast Asia and Australia. So it's depending upon where you are on the globe, whether you'll be able to see this eclipse. Eclipse symbolism is extremely relevant astrologically. Emotional factors will rule the day with normal logic cast aside. This is important for you to realize when you feel these energies occurring from this eclipse. You may feel very emotional, okay? So, or at least we won't be able to maybe see things crystal clear at the time with our conscious mind. Now, remember though, decisions made from emotion, and this is something that I have always said, may be especially extreme under the influence of an eclipse. A lot of emotion going on here, especially this eclipse that I'm referring to, because there's two powerful stelliums of planets that will be aligned in Aries and Taurus. Also realize something may be revealed that triggers an intense response. Now, that can be personally, or it can also be worldwide. My concern here, as I'm saying, is not just on an individual level, but regarding our country and globally. So what is needed here is to just step back a little and gather more facts before acting impulsively. So now with all these powerful energies coming up that we're talking about, I really hope that you're going to enjoy the interview that will be coming up very shortly with Ted Silverhand. Ted Silverhand, as I said, has been a friend of mine for many, many years, more years than I can count. He is a wonderful seer. He's a Native American seer and a life consultant who has helped many people in many walks of life. When I say that, I'm talking about ordinary, everyday people, but also very famous people. You're going to find the interview extremely interesting. Ted is someone who I'm sure listening to the interview here tonight is going to bring some peace to your life with the suggestions that he has in order to help bring peace into your life. That was the main theme of the interview with Ted. It was difficult to get an interview with Ted because he lives very far away. And so we had to actually go on location when he was doing a show. And it turned out really beautifully. Brian and I put a lot of effort into this, and so did Ted. And it turned out to be a wonderful, inspiring interview. So I really hope that you enjoy it. Any questions that you have regarding anything that we talked about here astrologically that I relayed to you about the eclipse, or anything regarding my interview with Ted Silverhand, please feel free, or any of your questions or suggestions or any information you'd like to offer about any of your experiences with angels or anything metaphysical, please feel free. At the end of the show, you will see my email address and you can contact me and we'll be sure to get back to you. So, Brian, how much more time do we have before the interview? Okay, so Brian is letting me know that I need to wrap up now so that then, if you stand by, you'll be able to enjoy this fabulous interview with Ted Silverhand. Many, many, many bright blessings to you. God bless you. Thank you. Welcome back. I would like to introduce our guest for this evening, someone that I'm very excited to introduce to you. Our guest tonight is Ted Silverhand, and he's a wonderful Tuscaroran, Native American seer. Ted?
It's always good to be around you, Mary. It's good to see you again.
Yeah.
And we always seem to come together at different times along the years, along the way. And it's just good to be here again.
A lot of years,
yeah,
right?
A lot of years.
A lot of years, Ted.
Yeah.
Well, you've helped me many times in my life.
Thank you.
Guiding me. Now, would you explain to our audience what you do?
Well, they call us tellers and seers, and but still, I'm also, my counsel says life consultant, and people come to see me concerning the facets of life that they're going through, problems that they are dealing with, and also to look into things that they're looking to happen, entertainers, regular people, actors, and of course the entertainers and all that, because they have they've done this for a long time, you know, looking for their acts on TV and stuff like that and things of that. So
yeah, we were talking before about some of the really famous people that you've done readings for and did counseling for. Can you maybe share a little bit of that with our audience?
The last 2 years of Elvis's life, I worked for him. The last 2 years, but he was recommended. I mean, I first started with Johnny Cash, and then Johnny recommended me to Elvis. I did not know I was reading for him until it happened, you know.
Wow.
Everything was done. This particular time, I thought I was going to be reading for some general and his wife that was coming in from Germany. And he was coming to the Pentagon. This was in a place called Largo, Maryland. And it was a big thing because I almost refused to do it because it was always these code names and things, and Elvis always referred to me as Topper. And everybody had a code name. His name was General, I think James John gee whiz now, it's been so long ago, James Johnson, I think of something like that.
Yeah.
But he had a code name.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because the fan mail went to the office in
Yes.
Graceland, but certain names that he had went to him, but you had the code names to send things to it. Matter of fact, it was his idea for me to use cassettes because he said it was too much reading. Because at first, after I met him for the first time, and then when I started, he asked me to once a month if he sent photographs of people, if I would just give him the heads up on them. And then so I started writing these pictures, reading the pictures, and then writing it. Mm-hmm. Now I thought I was doing a good job because I would take a notepad, legal size pad,
right.
and write it from top to back. Mm-hmm. He says, I had the other things I have to do. I can't be sitting up here reading this. He says, how about putting it on a tape? I said, reel to reel. He says, no, a cassette. I said, what's a cassette? Because in those days, they just came out.
Wow,
and
this is way back when we're going,
huh? Yeah. And
wow.
Then he says that you get it from Radio Shack. What's Radio Shack? Because Radio Shack used to be Tandy's.
Love you, Ted.
Yeah. They used to be called Tandy's Leather.
Oh.
And they jumped from Tandy's Leather to Radio Shack.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so then he sent me 2 small cassette recorders, and then he sent me a stack of cassettes.
Yeah.
And then he told me that where I could get them from Radio Shack, then Walmart was selling them. And they were so cheap that they would, after you use it maybe a few times, it will break.
Oh.
And they said, well, what can I do with that if it breaks? I said, well, I guess it's time for you to have another reading. That's what I would say to people. But first it was, basically I would start by taking the photographs and start speed reading the photographs and record them and then send them to his office.
So that's how you started
That's
recording
how I started.
readings.
It was his idea.
Oh,
it was
wow.
Elvis's idea.
Oh, wow.
And then when I started with him, and then I started saying, well, maybe I can do this with other people.
Yeah.
So people were coming. That's when I was living in North Carolina then. And so then people was sitting at the desk, and see, I had 2. So what I did, I had background music on one, and then the regular voice on the other. I would be talking, but when you put it together, it just sounded like music in the background and everything. And then I started doing shows, the psychic fairs with just doing it. No one did it before I did. Maybe psychiatrists used it, maybe, I don't know. But then when the era of these cassettes, then the CDs came out.
Yes.
Then that was the next era.
Yeah.
And this is where, and then I think the next era after that will be in the clouds someplace.
Can I tell you, I'm still using, because you showed me your equipment, how to make the CDs.
Yeah, right.
So now I use that same kind of equipment to
Very
make a
good.
CD also
Right,
for my clients, thanks to you.
Yeah, thank
so
you.
that goes all the way back to Elvis, huh?
Yeah, back in those days. But
That is so cool.
But now with the new cars since 2019, they took the CD players out of the new cars.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, that was a bad trick. Because
I think
really,
so.
Yeah.
Oh, I got a lot of good CDs to
We
listen
all
to.
do, yeah.
Yeah.
But through that, they started. That was when I got to that.
Start of it.
From
Well, we're interviewing Ted actually in his hotel room tonight. He just got done with a show. It's actually a 3-day show,
3-day
isn't
show,
it?
yes,
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Because I know when Brian and I were at the show and we were walking around, I noticed you're constantly booked.
Yeah.
And I've known that for years. Any time
Thank
I've
you.
ever seen you at any of the shows, you're constantly booked.
Yeah.
You're
I
excellent.
enjoyed doing it, but people enjoyed taking something with them.
Yes.
Nowadays, the younger people, they put their telephones down and they get the recordings on the telephone.
Yeah, they record it.
Yeah, so, but the older people, they still rely on the CDs.
Yeah,
they
right?
say- so I have to have both. I have the CDs, but then I say, well, for the young folks, they just put the phone down and there's the recording. It goes. So it's good.
So, before when you were mentioning your council, can you explain about that to our audience, who your council
Okay.
is and how they came about?
Yeah, as a little boy, I guess I was around 7, 8 years old. I was very sickly. I had asthma very badly, and one night, this lady came. I was in bed, and this lady came through the wall. Just walked through the wall, and she sat down on the side of the bed. You could actually feel the bed go down, and she reached in and she was whispering to me and talking. And I was like paralyzed. And so then she got up and she walked through the wall again just through the wall. And then all of a sudden I could move. And I ran downstairs and I said about this woman that came through, and she had one long braid, and she says, but she's coming back. And my mother says, her mother had mentioned that I would be given this gift, that I would be able to talk to spirits. But what happened was, I said that she said that she was coming back. So my father says, well, he wasn't so sure about what was being said. So he made a small pallet on the end of the bed and had me to sleep there. And so 3 nights later, around that time, this lady comes through the wall again. My father's sleeping, snoring, and all of a sudden, I had to get up, I walked, and I seemed like I just walked through the wall, and all of a sudden I was walking on a dirt road, and the sun was out, the birds were singing, and the water, you could hear the water rushing on the thing, and then she said, make haste, and we went up, and she was dressed in a long dress on, she had on, and her name was Bedabin. Oh. But I could only pronounce BB. I couldn't understand how to say that name.
Yeah.
But then later, as I grew up, Bedabin meant first light. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yes.
First light.
First light. And then when I first met the council, I followed her up on the hill, and then as I walked through it's like a gate of some kind, and then she said, sit down over there. And when I went in and turned to sit down, and she was standing by the water. She had this thing of water. It was water, apparently. She was a water carrier.
Okay.
And then when I looked up again, there were 13 of these old men sitting in a circle. But I was sitting in the middle of the circle.
I see.
And as they began to talk with their eyes, I just looked, and it seemed to be that I was just looking into each of their eyes, and they talked to me. They told me who they were. And then the speaker was a man named Tall Pine, and he was the translator, but he was talking. And they told me that I would come to be of service, to help people. And I said, well, can you make me well? Because I was so sickly. And he says that one day you will be better, you will be well. But one day you're going to have to go away for a long time. And you're going to go to people that were going to help me.
Oh, I see.
And I did not know, except I didn't know. And then maybe 6 months to 7 months later, or maybe a year or so later, my mother came and told me, she says, you're going to be going away, you're going to be leaving us, you're going to a home in Colorado.
Colorado, that's pretty far from North Carolina.
Yeah. And it was called the Jewish Home for Children, for asthmatic children.
I see.
And that they were going to help me. And when I got there, I remember taking that Capital Airlines. The plane was stopping so many stops. First, it left from Norfolk, and it stopped in Chicago, and then from Chicago, it's to Omaha, the different places along the way until I got to Denver. And but when I got there, I felt it was not the asthma that they were treating me. I was supposed to meet all of these people from all parts of the world, because there at the home, it was all nationalities of kids were there suffering from asthma.
Together?
To get together, yeah. And we all lived there. And it was a very, very wonderful time.
Wow.
While I was there. So that was how I got, when I was told that I was going to be going away for a long time, that was the beginning of that. And and so, like I said, I thought I was going to be meeting, in which I did, to meet different people and things. And then, but yet, my grandmother will always tell me that on the new moon, we would stare at the same moon and we would know about things that was going to happen and see things. But it's been interesting, and I've been doing this now for over 60 years. So I'm still...
God bless you.
And it's
you're wonderful.
Thank you.
You're absolutely wonderful.
Yeah.
Every single time that I have ever sat with you, I walk away with more wisdom and knowledge. Very, very grateful.
Thank you.
Very grateful. Yeah. And you've also read for my daughter Kelly many years ago. We were just talking about it before, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and she has never forgotten it.
Thank you.
And everything you said came to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
And I hope to be around a little bit longer.
Oh, you will be. Are you kidding? Look at you. You're wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. And oh my goodness, the multitudes of people that you have helped throughout your life.
Yeah.
It's absolutely astounding. I have great respect for you, Ted.
Thank you. But I give it to God. All honors are given to the great mystery, God, and my counsel.
Yes.
Because through the counsel, they can at times channel all of their energy into one, and that is tall pine that speaks for them, and things of what they wish to say and what they bring out, where I'm going to go, basically, and what's going to happen. It's been a journey. You had good times and bad times, but of course, that's the way things are.
Right.
Yeah.
It's life.
Right. Yeah. It's life. Yeah.
And before, when we were talking, I had asked you if maybe you could make some suggestions to our audience, how maybe to bring a little more peace into their lives, especially the way things are in 2023.
Well, I would say that basic meditation, meditating, going within, listening to oneself, or joining a group where that in the areas of learning how to meditate, learning how, you see, we're in this decade of the woman's way decade. This is all about the women.
Yes.
And in this decade is also the Rainbow Warriors have also shown, and they've come through the areas of 2012 as they are coming through with, and into this soul with this time of the women's way and the rainbow children.
Yes.
And and women that I had predicted that would be presidents or vice presidents, businesses and things that is going through. And then the rainbow children, they are the ones that I'm told, are their first time being souls onto this time. The rest of us are basically, we old souls. We've been coming back. But these are brand new people that's coming through. And this is why they're coming through, that where we always had two-spirited, but you have now the LGQ people and things that we did not know about before. We didn't quite understand that, how they are coming to make things much more lightened, in helping people with, even a lot of them carry that gift of second sight and things of that. So it's a whole new thing that it's unusual, but you're learning to where that, I guess, as you say, that that group of people, that group and the other kids that they have no sex names and stuff like that. There's a lot of stuff we are not used to.
Right.
But it's told that they would be coming and changing parts of the earth that would need to be changed as well as the Black Lives Movement. So much is mixed in, making things more open for people. And then now we have the problems with the war now. And we're so busy because that's bringing a lot more problems of pulling this world into another war, and which people are trying not to, but it seems to be that a lot of changes, which we'll wait to see what happens. But then in the year 2030 will be all about the weather. The weather is cranking up. And then in 2030, it's going to be earth changes like crazy with floods and things of that. With Japanese, with Japan, a lot of it breaking up and things that's going to be around 2033, but it won't go so far in that time. But it's major changes. But right now, get in the world by learning to love each other, stop fighting each other. This is all the Creator wanted, was for people to come together and to just be at peace with each other and to love each other.
Yes.
And we can't do that. And so, and we call this thing politics. And now the politics dealing with whether they're Republicans or whether they are Democrats. And everything's got to be a fight now, it seems to be.
It does appear that way.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I mean, you even notice it in daily life.
Yes.
Everyone is on edge.
On edge, yeah.
So how do you, as an individual, how can a person, meditation and anything else that you can suggest to bring them peace?
Being able to love themselves or to love others, but it is so simple of speaking. Just say good morning or something to someone.
Yes,
but we are so busy dealing with the race issue, dealing with things like this. But then yet we can look across the border to Canada. Most people get along well there in Canada, other countries, but again, we're still fighting the wars here. And to be a very powerful country, and we can hurt ourselves from within. And then you have taken over the capital is privilege, they think, these people. They think they have the privilege to go in and do what they did.
It's kind of like, everybody feels privileged now.
I don't know, just some think they're more privileged than others.
But I've been noticing that, like even on the road, that people, everybody wants to cut everybody off and all this other.
Issues. It's out the anger.
The anger, yes.
And you have these people that they're disturbers. They like to stir up things, and this has always been, but some a little bit more than others. And this is why that when this next election comes, it's going to be a shocker for a lot of people. A lot of people are going to be shocked about what's going to happen. But it's going to sort of like things will be bringing people back together to a degree than taking them apart.
Because we're all one.
We're all one, yeah.
We're all one.
Yeah. And I kind of feel that the president we have now, I don't see him running again the next 4 years. It's going to be someone else coming in.
Yeah, I tend, as you know, I'm an astrologer, and I'm in agreement with you about that. I don't see him running again.
No, I don't see it.
No, I don't. Yeah, I don't even want to go there about that.
That's true.
Yeah. Now you're also. You're part of the Bear clan, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm Bear. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Bears are the healers. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So, can you talk a little bit about that for our audience that doesn't understand that or know?
Well, my clan, my mother's a bear.
Yes.
So we come in under my mother's clan, and the reasons why this has come about way before the white men came, that in order to not intermarry with, so you are divided up in clans, and see, no two bears can marry, but the bear clan or the wolf clan or the deer clan, you get different ones that keeps things that way and separate that way, so that you won't have the problems of that, the mixing of the blood, to where like they did in Europe, in England, where you had the people there, they intermarried so much to where they just had so many problems over there. And I think what used to be was back in the olden days, though, where you could tell by the people how the plates, I think they had gold plates, and the gold or something was, I remember reading that in history about, because of the caste of the families in England, and how they and then also it just intermarriage in Rome. The same thing was where that when the people came over, that the people were so messed up with. That was because of the what's it call it? They were drinking the minerals, and the minerals made them retarded. With the Romans, that's when the rise and fall of the Roman Empire.
Oh, really? What do you mean the minerals? Like what?
I mean, it's the lead. The lead. You see, remember they had the lead pipes, and they didn't know that it was doing that.
That's interesting. I never knew that.
Oh yeah.
See, you learn something new every day.
That's the reason why the pipes are now the way it is, so it will never happen. It came by way of because of the Roman Empire and what it did to them, because it was such a metal. It was such a thing to where you could easily bend it, and that's what they liked about it. But until it ended up with the areas of drinking, and to where it just made them so bad that when the army came in to that crushed the Romans, they were like kids laughing and playing around and things of that, because they didn't know that. But it was the minerals in that pipes. Lead pipes that did that to
I
them.
Never knew that.
Oh yeah.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
So, when you do a reading or you sit, with your client that comes, can you describe a little bit for our audience, like what happens?
Well, when people come
I've
in the room,
experienced it with you. I got to tell you, I'm very selective of anyone to do a reading for me. Okay? And you and our friend Willow.
Yes.
Remember Willow?
Yes.
Yeah. Have you spoken to her?
I haven't seen her in some time now.
Yeah, I know. I kept trying to get a hold of her, and but I'm very selective who does a reading for me. And so, could you please explain what you do?
Well, first, I usually, prayer is very important, and when I set myself before I even go to a show, or if someone's coming to my place, I go into a time of just laying on the sofa and focusing on the person or the people that are coming.
Yes.
But then when they come, when they come into the office, and basically by the time they walk into the room and sit down, and then I pick up the energy, I use my eagle feather and brushing them down first, and then picking up the energy, then the inner voice, not that the voice is talking to me, but the spirit talking to the subconscious, and you're picking that up. And then I have a little way of going through to talk to people, and then things begin to come through about that person and who that person is and what they're going through, things. sometimes if they want to go a little bit, we go into the past a little bit. It depends upon what it is. Spirit has been saying to me that it's building up people, showing them their best, what they're good at doing. And it just sort of changed, so it's a little bit different than what other people do. It's just that seeing you focusing in another area you never even thought of, and then they come back and say, you know, I'm doing exactly what you said or what they told me you were going to be doing. It's really nice to see people blown away, and we're not to tear them down, but to build them up.
Yes.
And as it builds them up, it feels good for me, but also for the person. It's a good thing for
Absolutely.
people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. You know, I have to tell you because, as you know, I do so many things.
Yes,
But you told me many years ago what I should really be focusing on.
Yeah.
And boy, were you right. So thank
Good.
you.
That's good.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
So I was actually telling Brian that tonight when we were having dinner, how you guided me in that direction to really funnel my energy in one area of my life. And I thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for that.
Yeah. I sometimes I ask people to leave their phone numbers because a lot of times that doing the next when I'm sometimes at the areas of when I go to sleep at night, I'm able to go into the dream time.
Yes.
And going into the dream time, I see things that I didn't pick up at the person's reading. And then I'm able to come back the next day, call them up and say, you know, there were certain things going so fast within those 30 minutes or 20 minutes, you know, that I don't get a chance to do everything. And so, but they show me things and I say, well, this, where I was a little off here, this is going to happen, that's going to happen. And pretty soon they see it changed, or you need to get to see a doctor because of this. I am not a doctor. I don't try to be a doctor, or nor am I a medicine person.
Right.
But I say, but this is what they're telling me that you should talk to the doctor about. This could be a factor or something.
When spirit comes through
Yes.
you, tells you that you have to share it.
Sure, yeah, but for them to ask the doctor for the doctor
To make the diagnosis, right, because you don't want to set that up in the person.
Yeah.
When I do readings, I don't want to set that up. However, there have been times when spirit would come through me and I would know that I would have to say something that maybe you should just get this checked out by your doctor.
Absolutely.
And that's the way you say it.
That's how I say it.
Right,
too,
right? You don't let somebody leave thinking, oh my goodness, you know, I have.
Oh,
Yeah, because then they set it up in their own mind.
In their own mind.
Right.
Yeah.
But, I mean, many times over all the years of my readings, people have come back and really thanked me.
Yeah, right.
That I told them.
The mind is a turbo thing if
like
it gets out of hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, the mind can kill a person if they, by just overthinking. Yeah.
They create it, just
create
like,
it, yes.
remember earlier tonight we were talking about, before we started the interview, about how sometimes a person can believe they have a curse on them or something.
Yeah. Right.
Okay, so can you talk a little bit about that?
Well,
Just a little bit,
okay.
so, people can understand that.
Well, remember, the hands are quicker than the eyes. People always feel, they always play that trick that they know everything going on. And people have always, if something goes wrong, they swear that somebody's got a curse on them. They have a curse on them.
People come to me and they say,
Yeah,
can you
right.
take the curse off me?
Yeah,
Say,
right.
you don't have a curse. And
Yeah, and so it's most of it's in your head.
Yeah.
And so the most important thing is understand who you're going, understand who you're dealing with.
For reading.
For readers
right.
are going in. If you're going to go in and then the person comes and say you got a curse, well then you're your own worst enemy, because some people can take those things and turned them around. And then when you're looking, where do I get this curse taken off? And you may have a person say, oh, your hair is on a tombstone in this particular cemetery, and you must go there at midnight.
Crazy things you hear, right?
Crazy things.
People come back and tell you.
Right. Oh yeah. So this is why. But some things happen to people in the areas of certain spiritual areas that they can experience. In areas of voodoos and things of that. I don't want to go into it because certain things like that, people can experience it.
That's true.
But
with voodoo,
they have to believe. Yeah, but they have to believe into all of that. So, but again, not walking on other people's dreams. I'll just say that when a person does have a curse, they would definitely know it. But you get someone to talk to you to where you can go to get help. I would say it that way.
Right.
But that's the most important thing, I would say.
And the person who's going to be helping you isn't going to be charging you thousands of dollars.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's the point. That's
the point.
Because
that is the point.
You do your readings because you trually care about helping others. That's your soul's purpose.
But also, in traveling, you have to have finances. And people, if you sit there and tell them, it goes in one ear and out the other. So as a person, the service that's done, you give, you receive.
Absolutely, it has to be reciprocal.
It has to be
right.
Right.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's very important.
Yeah.
Very important
Definitely.
Because that's yin yang energy, even.
Definitely.
Right?
Definitely.
Do you know what I teach my students when they come to learn Reiki from me? I teach them that initially, when you're practicing, you're getting practice, and if you don't charge, that's fine. But once you have your skill down pat, then you have to charge because it has to be reciprocal.
Right.
That's the flow of energy, and it has to be. But what I was talking about is like, unfortunately, sometimes people experience going to someone asking for a curse to be removed, and then it's thousands of dollars that the person is asking for.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? So you really have to second guess that.
Yeah, and plus, White Mountain Sage is a very powerful sage.
Thank you.
And for areas of clearing the air, clearing the negative energy, things of that. So if you use a little of the White Mountain Sage, it can lift all of the things, because it's like nurses going to the hospitals. Remember, sickness is a bad energy because it's sickness.
Yes.
And so, but to be able to use the White Mountain Sage to take the negative off of things that you pick up. I mean, because as we're touching, you have to wash your hands at times. But the thing about it is, this is what we're saying about purifying yourself. And your ceremonies are just using this to knock off the negatives around you.
I do that in my office all the time for my clients.
Oh, definitely.
I mean, that's what I do.
Yeah.
I get sage from Sedona.
Oh, Sedona? Okay, yeah. Good
Think
stuff,
about that.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is that the sage, I'm so glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
I mean, the purification of that
Definitely.
in the air. You should sage your home.
Yeah, definitely.
Sage yourself.
Smudge yourself,
Yeah.
And also, as you smudge yourself, and then you have the sweetgrass.
Yeah.
The sweetgrass, we're here
I see
because I'm one of the grassroots, and we have a group, and we use the sweetgrass for purification. But we are back to the grassroots, so we're the traditionals to wear this like this.
Beautiful.
And then it brings in, after you do the smudge, and then if you have the sweetgrass spray, then you can light it, and it brings in the sweet spirits after that.
Beautiful.
Yeah, this way
Yes.
it smells sweet, the sweetgrass.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you're removing
Yeah.
all the negative,
All the
right?
negative.
Then
and
you're bringing in all the sweet,
yeah,
and the
sweet,
positive
Yeah,
and
that's
good.
it. Yeah.
Beautiful. I love it. I
Thank
love
you.
it.
Yeah.
Do you have any other suggestions for our audience of what they could do to bring good energy towards them?
Basic, find something good to say about people. This is the whole thing. In other words, as Will Rogers once said, I never met a man I didn't like until he opened his mouth. It's what came out of his mouth. Yeah, that's right. Because, yeah. And so that's
I like
the
that.
reason, yeah. Because what comes out is, that's the type of the person that you're dealing with.
Yeah.
And then you know what to do to move on. And as I tell the young people, to fly like an eagle and think like an eagle as you fly like an eagle, because it's hard to fly like an eagle when you're dealing with turkeys. There are a lot of turkeys below wanting to pull you down. You want to stay away from.
That's the truth, though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, definitely.
yeah.
Definitely.
You don't want to be around all that
All that
energy,
all
right?
That
And that could drag you
Yeah,
in.
They can drag you
down.
And
Yep.
that's why the turkeys
That's
will
the
do
truth.
it. Yeah.
That's the
yeah,
truth.
yeah.
How much more time do we have, Brian? Oh, okay. Okay. What else would you like to add for our audience? We only have a few minutes left.
Well, when you go to the water, the beaches, because the water, we call them the grandmothers in the water. And when you go in there to sit on the sand or sit on the beach and just give thanks, but also water's a purifier. It's always been that way. And so hopefully that when you're at the beach, you're able to enjoy. You don't have to go in the water per se, but you can just, in using, as they say, when you turn the water on at home, those are prayers coming through the tap. We call them the grandmothers. They come through, and everything has a meaning for everything in ceremonies. And if you're having a new moon ceremony of new beginnings, and you have water ceremonies and things of that. So it's good to be able to walk in beauty, and that's what it's all about. Is love a fellow man, but also understand we're all students of life on this earth. There are no graduates here. As I your teacher, so you are mine. If you by chance meet someone with all the answers, beware, you might be dealing with a fool. Stay away from that one.
Exactly.
Especially when they say only learn from me and no one else. You're dealing with a fool.
That is a red flag,
Yeah, definitely,
right?
Definitely, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I know some of the things that you had taught me as far as running the water in the morning, looking in the mirror,
Yes.
talking
To yourself, yeah.
See?
And then in doing so, you're honoring self. It's negative if you shout it to the world, I'm the greatest. But when you say it to yourself, and then once you scoop up the water and you throw it in your face and then you're ready to go, and you say, because self needs that, because who's looking at you in that mirror is God and you looking as one.
Yes.
God smiles upon you because God made you out of love.
You taught me that years ago,
Yeah.
Ted, and I utilize that every day.
Good, yeah.
Every
That's
day.
good, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And as far as ceremony, because you had also taught me a few things in
Yes.
reference to that, that I've utilized.
Yeah.
And the ceremony is really simple, just like
Yeah.
what you were saying. People think there's some big mystery,
Sure.
and not really,
Not
right?
really.
No.
It's
like what
simple,
you
yeah.
were saying for the new moon,
Yeah.
right?
The moon and new beginnings, yeah. And you start
Brand new
all of
beginnings.
you start all of those things on the new moon, the beginning of the new moon, and asking for help, yeah. And that's the important thing.
The moon is so important,
Yes.
isn't it?
Oh, definitely.
Yes. Yes. Okay, well, Brian is motioning that we have to
Okay.
wind up.
Okay.
So is there anything else that you'd like to say?
Now, You keep your hair long, it keeps you balanced. You see, got to remember that. But again, as I like to say, we're all students of life, and understand that. Yeah, and I always been a philosophy of, as I your teacher, so you are mine. Even a little one has his or her say so. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And but to respect what they have to say. And I remember my father used to always have, on a Sunday morning or a Saturday morning, we would sit around the table after breakfast, and then that was the time that we could say what we didn't like about what you did or what anybody did at the table. I mean, in the house. And I remember my little brother, he was about 4 or 5 years old, and he says, "Dad, you yelled at me the other day." "Oh, well, what happened?" I said, "Oh, well, I'm sorry for that." Everybody had
That's
to
so
clear the table. Yeah.
beautiful.
And in doing
I
so,
love that.
it's just usually that Sunday morning or something after that, or however you would set it up for Saturday, and everybody had freedom to decide on it.
And to show the respect.
Respect,
Respect is
Yeah.
so important for each other.
Right, for each other at that table. Yeah, we all have our little things to write our notes and things of that.
I
Yeah,
love that.
yeah.
Thank
Okay.
you so much for
Thank you.
sharing everything tonight.
Well, thank you, yeah.
Thank you, Ted. Thank you so much for being a guest on the show.
Thank you.
Welcome back again. I hope you thoroughly enjoyed the interview with Ted Silverhand, wonderful seer, very important person in my life for many, many years. And I hope he inspired you in some way and gave you peace. That's what we need a little bit more of right now. All of us do. And the big thing that I hope you come away with from the interview with Ted Silverhand is to love one another. And with that, please watch our shows. They're all on YouTube under Astrology, Angels, and More, or you can go on Mary Silvernail, you'll see it. And thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you again next month. Many blessings to you. God bless you. God bless you. Many, many, many blessings.